Hey guys, how are ya? It's Grandma Dawn reading you a story called Fancy Nancy, Explorer Extraordinaire. So I hope you like the story. Bree and I, the story begins, are the founding members of our club. That means we started it. So far, we are the only members. Freddie and his sister really want to join in. We say maybe. First, they have to prove they are mature enough. Mature is a fancy word for acting grown up. Now, what does an explorer extraordinaire need? Let me show you. Probably a long sleeve shirt. Oh, I can't show you the pictures. A notebook and pen, a baseball hat or a sun hat. Not essential, but you might want it also, is a camera, some binoculars, lace gloves, because every girl needs lace gloves, a magnifying glass, some glamorous sunglasses, not like my readers, a dog or cat, some maracas for when we feel like dancing, you know, when you shake them and rattle, shake, 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 and Frenchie. I'm not exactly sure what Frenchie is, but just because you're exploring doesn't mean that you can't be fancy. Oh dear, I forgot the most important thing. Every club needs a clubhouse. It's absolutely essential. Fancy Nancy built a clubhouse out of blankets that she put over a table, so that's always a good clubhouse. Then you need to draw a map of your backyard and maybe even your neighborhood. Rule number 2. Nobody in the club thinks bugs are gross. That's just immature, which is fancy for babyish. First, we look for insects. Insect is the real word for bug. All insects have a wing, antenna, and 6 legs. We see an anthill. We sprinkle some sugar. Viola, out come the ants. Ants love sweet things, and so do I. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. What do you call a 100-year-old ant? An antique. Rule number 3, no touching, just looking. Ants live underground in a group called a colony. Freddie wants to help the ants get back home, but that is against the rules. The head ant is a queen, but she doesn't have a crown or anything fancy. She lays all the eggs. We see lots of flies by the garbage cans. They zoom around so fast, Bree couldn't get a picture. Flies can walk on ceilings because of sticky pads and tiny claws on their feet. I observe, that's a fancy word for watch, a ladybug on a leaf of a tomato plant. This ladybug has one black spot on each wing. Once I saw a ladybug with black wings and red spots. Grandma says it's good luck if a ladybug lands on you. But club members do not think that's scientifically accurate. Ladybug eat insects that are bad for plants. My little sister is pointing at something. Actually, maybe Tegan is pointing at something. Oh, or maybe Josie June. It's a spider. In the web, there is a dead bug. My sister says, yuck. But we explain this is just part of nature. Spiders eat insects that are pests, like flies. You probably think spiders are insects, but guess what? They're not. They have 8 legs, not 6, and no wings or antenna. Is my head flipping around making you dizzy? It's making me dizzy. Exploring the wild makes us very thirsty and hungry, so we need to stop and have refreshments, which is fancy for snacks. We do some research now. That means we read about what we've seen. Bree's book said we saw an orb spider. Here's the photo Bree took of it. Ooh, it's kind of gross. You see it? No, wait, that's not it. There's the spider. Rule number 4, which is very important. Got a bug on my face. Crying is not allowed. Only babies cry, right? Unless you're sad, then it's okay to cry. My sister and Freddie fight over the last cookie. We tell them if they want to go with us to Miss Devine's garden, they had better stop. Miss Devine's flower garden is full of butterflies. Bree and I adore butterflies. So does Grandma Dawn. But Grandma Dawn really adores dragonflies. Rule number 5. We never catch butterflies because they are fragile, which is a fancy way of saying they get hurt easily. Many people don't think butterflies are insects because they are so pretty, but guess what? They are insects. All butterflies start from an egg that turns into a caterpillar. The caterpillar spins a cocoon around itself. The scientific name is chrysalis. I think that word is so beautiful and so fancy. And when the chrysalis breaks open, Viola! There is a butterfly. I will probably be a lepidopterist when I grow up, which is a fancy name for a scientist who studies butterfly. Lookalikes. Is it a butterfly? When butterflies land on something, their wings stay up. You see butterflies during the day, and they have colorful wings. Or is it a moth? When a moth lands, its wings stay flat. You see moths much more at night. They like to fly near lights. A lot of moths have plain brown wings, but some moths are very colorful. Butterfly hunting ensembles. I went to a butterfly farm once with my grandparents. If you go to one, here's what you should wear. Let's see if I can find how to put the picture up. There you go. Fancy outfits to wear for butterfly hunting. Woo! Bright, colorful clothes, so the butterflies think that you are a giant flower. Which, granddaughters, you are beautiful flowers. Part of Mrs. Devine's garden is for wildflowers. Wildflowers grow all by themselves without any help from people. You don't have to buy seeds or anything. Lots of wildflowers have such fancy names. Foxglove, that's one of Grandma's favorites. Lady slipper. And forget-me-not. It doesn't mention in the book, but there's also a really pretty flat plant called Johnny Jump-Ups. Uncle Johnny Jump-Ups is what I call them. Oh no! Look what Freddie and my sister did. They picked some flowers without asking, and that is strictly against club rules. Mrs. Devine is not mad, but we are. Neither of them can be in the club. They are not mature enough. Well, that would be sad. It's lunchtime. My mom takes my sister and Freddie home, and we go to Bree's house, and after lunch we will check the bird feeder in her backyard. Maybe some birds are having lunch. What makes birds special? Birds are the only animals with feathers. The fancy words for feather is plume. They also have light, hollow bones. One of the reasons we can't fly is because our bones are too heavy and we don't have wings. Today we see a robin and a lot of sparrows. And if you're in Victor, Idaho, you might also see an eagle. Why do hummingbirds hum? Because they don't know the words. Funny, funny. It starts to drizzle, so we go back to our clubhouse. We pretend not to see Freddie and my sister. We read about hummingbirds and learn many facts that are fascinating. That's even fancier than interesting. A hummingbird is the official bird of our club. They love red flowers. So far, we've only seen hummingbirds at the zoo, but they are still our favorite birds. Why? Because they are so petite, which is French for little, and their wings are iridescent, which is a fancy word for shiny. How petite is a hummingbird? Without feathers, most are the size of a bumblebee. They can take a bath in a leaf. A nest is the size of a walnut shell, and their eggs are smaller than jelly beans. They flap their wings up to 200 times a second, which is amazing. They don't hum. A humming sound comes from their wings beating so fast. Rule number 6. We don't pull leaves off the trees. The trees need to make food. The trees need them to make food. The rain seems to be stopping, but we wear our raincoats anyway because we look so chic, which is a French word for fancy and for fashionable. Goody, the storm last night has knocked off leaves for us to collect. I am practically a leaf expert. Trees whose leaves fall off are called deciduous. I love that fancy word almost as much as chrysalis. See the page on butterflies. All the leaves here come from trees in our backyard. Ginkgo leaves look like fans. Mrs. Devine makes tea from the fruit. Some of the leaves. Oh, there's the ginkgo. Trees with leaves that don't fall off are called evergreens. Evergreen, get it? The leaves look like needles. Christmas trees are evergreens. Don't you love their wonderful aroma? Aroma is a fancy word for smell. Evergreens all have pine cones. Bree and I hear Freddie and my sister calling us. They found something exciting. They have found a baby robin that has fallen from its nest. We can see the nest. The mother robin must be frantic. That's a fancy word for very, very worried. We call my mom and she knows just what to do. She puts the baby back in the nest. Now it is safe. My mother explains that some animals won't care for their babies after a person has touched them. But birds aren't like that. I always thought birds were like that. My sister and Freddie jump up and down. Please, please, can't we join the club? Can't we join the club? Even though they broke some rules, they did find the baby robin, which is the most exciting thing we observed. So Bree and I take a vote. It is unanimous. We both vote for yes. We make official cards for the new members, just like us. They are now Explorers Extraordinaire. So I hoped you liked this little story by Grandma Dawn. More coming soon. I love you. If you're taking a nap or going to bed, sleep good. Good night.